5 trucks left in America that no one can track, hack, or shut down, all under $5,000. Here is why that matters. GM sold your GPS location every 3 seconds to insurance brokers. One driver's premium jumped 21% overnight, and he never knew why. The FTC finally banned the practice in January 2026, but pre-1995 trucks have no data to sell, no computers, no telematics, nothing. Here is the complication. The same government that punished GM spent 30 years mandating the digital systems that made it all possible. So what happens when you buy the last truck that can't talk back? A renewal letter lands in the mailbox, a plain envelope, no warning. The number inside hits like a gut punch. Insurance premium up 21%, effective immediately, no accident, no ticket, not even a late payment, just a new price, stamped in black ink. The owner is a Chevy Bolt driver, commutes the same route every day, parks in the same spot at work, never once opted into anything called Smart Driver. But buried in the fine print, General Motors' OnStar unit has been quietly at work, pinging GPS coordinates every 3 seconds, day and night. That data does not just sit on a server. It gets packaged, shipped out, and sold off to brokers like LexisNexis, who slice it up for insurance companies hungry for risk scores. The driver never saw a consent screen. There was no pop-up, no phone call, no opt-out. Just a chain of silent handshakes, car to cloud, cloud to broker, broker to underwriter, each hop invisible to the person actually paying the bill. Internal General Motors emails, dragged into the light by the FTC, spell out the process in plain language. 3-second interval GPS collection was enabled by default for all Smart Driver enrollees. Another line says, broker partners may access trip-level data for risk analysis. The brokers are not some faceless tech giants. They are household names in the insurance world: LexisNexis, Verisk, TransUnion. They buy the raw location feed, run it through their black box algorithms, and spit out a new premium. The driver's only clue is the spike in cost and a renewal notice that never explains why. This is not a one-off glitch. 6 separate complaints in the FTC docket tell the same story. Sudden premium hikes, no warning, and no way to trace the source unless you dig through redacted filings and subpoenaed emails. The FTC's own complaint against General Motors spells it out. OnStar transmitted vehicle location data at intervals of 3 seconds and shared it with third-party data brokers without meaningful consumer consent. The numbers are not abstract. Every ping, every mile, every stop at a store or a school is logged and sold. For the Bolt owner, the violation is not theoretical. It is a monthly bill, higher by hundreds of dollars a year, with no explanation and no recourse. Privacy traded away for profit, with the driver left holding the bag. That is the reality for anyone driving a modern connected vehicle. The pipeline from your dashboard to an insurance broker spreadsheet runs 24 hours a day, and it does not ask permission. There is no wrench you can turn to unplug it. Unless, of course, you drive something built before the data age, a truck with no computers, no telematics, no digital leash. For everyone else, the cost of being watched is real, and it has already arrived. January 1st, 1996. The EPA mandates OBD-II for every new light-duty vehicle in the United States. 16 pins under the dash, 1 port, and a constant stream of data from engine to emission system. The Federal Register spells it out, no exceptions. This single access point becomes the backbone for telematics, laying the groundwork for a future where every mile is logged and every sensor is watched. By 1999, the Society of Automotive Engineers finalizes the CAN bus standard. 3 years later, federal regulations require automakers to connect every sensor, brake, and airbag to this digital nervous system. One cable now links every component, and anyone with the right tool can tap in. The era of isolated electronics ends. Privacy inside the machine disappears. 2007 brings the EPA's Tier 2 rules for diesel trucks. DEF and SCR sensors arrive, feeding real-time tank levels and NOx readings straight to the OBD port. By 2010, remote diagnostics are no longer optional. March 2026 brings an EPA directive that expands the mandate, requiring even more data, urea levels, engine load, and sensor health to be streamed live and accessible to any authenticated third party. The market numbers are stark. By 2026, analysts estimate the global fleet telematics and connected car market will exceed $45 billion. Geotab's latest suite boasts AI-powered cameras, 5G and satellite links, and the ability to pull OBD-II CAN bus and SCR data every 2 seconds, storing it for a decade. The owner-operator. Independent Drivers Association reports a 4% breakdown rate per 10,000 miles for heavy-duty fleets, with emissions-related repairs averaging $1,500. Each new sensor and software update adds complexity and cost. Regulatory shifts keep pace. In 2022, the EPA reverses an earlier exemption, now requiring manufacturers to expose even more emissions data through OBD-II. By March 2026, the agency removes the DEF sensor requirement for some trucks. The Department of Justice, in January 2026, clarifies that disabling telematics modules will not trigger federal charges unless fraud or safety is involved. Still, tamper-evident modules remain locked down. From the arrival of OBD-II in 1996 to today's AI-driven, always-connected trucks, the numbers tell the story. Every rule, every technical leap, every market surge tightens the net. Pre-1996 trucks stand apart. The last generation built before every mile, every stop, every sensor could be tracked, logged, and sold. The Ford 300 Straight-Six isn't just old metal, it's the escape hatch for anyone sick of being watched, scored, or shut out of their own machine. For under $3,000, you get a truck that's as close to untraceable as it gets in the world after onboard diagnostics. No computer, no diagnostics port, no hidden modem. Just a cast-iron block, a gear-driven cam, and a reputation that borders on myth. Mechanics tell stories of these engines running with no oil, no coolant, and still limping home. Junkyards used to stack them like cordwood because nobody could kill them. Fleet buyers kept them alive for decades, from city trucks to farm rigs to delivery beaters, because they started every morning and could be fixed with a socket set and a roll of baling wire. The 300's fuel system is all analog, a carburetor and a mechanical pump, nothing for a data broker to tap. The ignition runs off a distributor you can rebuild on a workbench, not a sealed module that phones home. Even the wiring harness is simple, no CAN bus, no multiplexed sensors, just copper and tape. If a relay fails, you jump it. If the starter grinds, you swap it out in half an hour. Every part is off the shelf, every repair is in the Haynes manual, and nothing requires a scan tool or a subscription. It's not pretty. The paint is usually faded, the bench seat is torn, and the bed is full of dents. But the Ford 300 doesn't care. It runs on bad gas, shrugs off abuse, and keeps rolling long after newer trucks have been bricked by a software update. For less than the cost of a single emissions repair on a modern diesel, you get a truck that answers to nobody but you. The Chevy square body doesn't just haunt farm auctions and backlots, it owns them. Park a 1984 C10 next to any modern truck, and you'll see what a mainstream alternative really looks like. Under the hood, the 350 small block V8 sits like a monument to American over-engineering. This is the engine that built the aftermarket. Summit Racing catalogs, swap meet tables, every parts house from Billings to Biloxi keeps a shelf stocked with what you need. Carburetor, distributor, fuel pump, all mechanical, all fixable without a laptop or a login. The wiring diagram fits on a single page. If you need a starter, it's $30 at the counter. If you want more power, you can bolt on a new intake while the coffee's brewing. The price stays grounded. For less than $4,000, you get a full-frame truck that can haul gravel, tow a trailer, or idle all day at a job site without a single sensor reporting back to anyone. No OBD-II port, no CAN bus, no digital chokehold. The ignition system is a simple HEI distributor. Pop the cap, swap a module, done. Even the emissions gear is basic. Air pump, EGR, maybe a charcoal canister. Nothing that dials home or locks you out over a firmware update. It's the working man's rig, ranchers, drywallers, small-town mechanics. They keep these trucks alive because they can. The Chevy 350 isn't rare, it's everywhere, and that's the point. You break down in the middle of nowhere, someone's got the part. The square body doesn't just dodge the data dragnet, it does it with parts you can get at the feed store. For anyone who wants to own their truck, not just lease it from a server, this is the stronghold. Next up, what happens when diesel goes analog? Diesel trucks built before the digital leash have their own code of honor, and nothing proves it like the old 7.3 IDI. Pop the hood, and you are staring at a mechanical diesel that answers to physics, not firmware. No ECM, no OBD, no CAN bus spiderweb. The entire fuel system runs on a Stanadyne rotary pump, an iron block with a single electrical wire. That wire powers the fuel stop solenoid. Pull it, and the engine dies. Feed it 12 volts, and the pump delivers fuel, no questions asked. There is no computer to hack, no sensor to spoof, no networked module waiting for a remote command. If you want to shut this truck down, you have to be standing right in front of it. Torque isn't theoretical here. The 7.3 IDI puts out 338 pound-feet, all of it available at low RPM, with nothing but mechanical linkages between your foot and the wheels. Glow plugs and injectors are controlled by relays you can jumper with a screwdriver. The wiring harness is so simple you can trace it end to end in an afternoon. If a relay fails, you swap it for a $10 part. If the pump wears out at 200,000 miles, you rebuild it on a bench, no laptop, no subscription, no phone call to Detroit. This is diesel credibility you can feel. No telemetry, no remote shutdown, no data broker tracking your every mile. The only thing the government could ever track on a 7.3 IDI is the registration renewal. For anyone who wants torque without a tether, this is the proof. The single-wire diesel, mechanical, analog, immune to remote control. Next up, what happens when the playbook gets thrown out and a wildcard rolls in? Some trucks refuse to be tamed or tracked. The Jeep CJ7 is built for escape, lightweight, stripped to essentials, and mechanical in every sense. No screens, no hidden electronics, just a steel tub, a frame you can weld in your own garage, and a drivetrain that welcomes dirt and improvisation. The CJ7 ignores pavement, thriving on fire trails and logging roads that vanish into the woods. Four-wheel drive comes from a Dana 300 transfer case, gear-driven, cast iron, no sensors or computers. Manual locking hubs up front put control in your hands, not a circuit board. The carbureted Inline-Six or 304 V8 runs on whatever gasoline you find, with ignition as basic as points and a coil. If it floods, you pump the pedal. If it stalls, you let it roll, clutch in, and try again. Everything is visible and fixable. The wiring harness is a handful of colored wires, not a tangled web. The heater lever is metal on metal. To pull the top, undo a few bolts. Changing gears means pulling the differential cover and counting teeth. There is no onboard diagnostics port, no black box, no telematics. For under $5,000, you get a truck that is half escape pod, half rolling toolkit. It is not about comfort. You will eat dust, sweat, and maybe limp home with a bent tie rod, but always on your own terms. The Dodge W250 Cummins 12-valve isn't just a survivor, it is the apex of analog diesel. Farmers still argue about the exact year these trucks peaked, but every one of them knows the secret. The heart is the Bosch P7100 injection pump. This pump is pure mechanical authority, no computer, no sensors, no digital choke chain. Fuel delivery comes down to a single wire, 12 volts to the shutoff solenoid. That is it. Pull the wire, the engine dies. Feed it power, the Inline-Six roars to life, ready to haul a cattle trailer through a blizzard or idle all day on a job site. There is no networked module, no remote shutdown, no backdoor for a broker or a regulator to slip through. The only thing between you and the road is a heavy steel key. Torque is the calling card, 400 pound-feet, all available at low RPM, with the kind of brute reliability that built a cult. The block is cast iron, the rods are forged, and the fuel is metered by cam and rack, not a line of code. Owners swap injectors and turn up the pump with a wrench, not a software patch. If the shutoff solenoid ever fails, you can wire it straight to the battery and drive home. Every part is rebuildable, every fix is in the truck's own service manual, not locked behind a paywall or a dealer login. Prices haven't escaped gravity yet. For under $5,000, you can still find a W250 with a working four-wheel drive transfer case and a 5-speed manual. The paint might be faded, the dash might be cracked, but the core is untouchable. This is the last diesel you can own in the way that word used to mean no permission needed, no data trail, just you, the machine, and the road ahead. The one-wire Cummins is the final argument. When everything else answers to the cloud, this truck answers to you. Troy Lake was not running a shadow operation out of some back alley. His shop, Elite Diesel Service, sat right on Main Street in Windsor, Colorado, sign out front, regular customers, tax ID on file. But in April 2022, federal agents rolled in with a stack of indictments. The charge was conspiracy to violate the Clean Air Act. According to court filings, Lake and his crew pulled the emissions brains and hardware from at least 344 heavy-duty trucks, including school buses, ambulances, and semis. They did not just yank parts, they reprogrammed the onboard diagnostics to fool every inspection, making the trucks look legal on paper while pumping out raw exhaust on the road. The sentencing memo from the DOJ called it a national conspiracy, with 8 co-conspirators in 7 states all working the same playbook. The penalty hit hard. Lake pled guilty. He was sentenced to a year and a day in federal prison, a $2,500 fine, and 5 years probation for his shop. The court tacked on $48,000 in restitution to the EPA and barred him from touching emissions work without approval. He served 7 months before a presidential pardon wiped the slate, but the irony burned. The same system that demanded every sensor and module on new trucks sent a mechanic to prison for pulling them off. The risk is not theoretical. For anyone caught disabling the digital leash, the cost is measured in lost years, lost business, and a permanent record until maybe the White House says otherwise. Listings for pre-1995 trucks are drying up. In 2019, major auction platforms carried nearly twice as many analog trucks as they do now. By early 2026, the volume of pre-OBD-II listings has dropped 23%. The numbers don't lie. Bring a Trailer, eBay Motors, and Classic.com all show the same downward curve, fewer trucks, more bidders, and no sign of a rebound. The average winning bid for a clean, unmodified square-body Chevy or a one-wire Cummins has jumped 18% in just 2 years. Parts aren't immune either. Rebuild kits for Ford's 300 straight 6 and Dodge's 12-valve Cummins are backordered at the big suppliers, with wait times stretching past 6 months. Junkyards that once stacked these trucks 3 deep now field calls from buyers 1,000 miles away. Even small-town classifieds are picked clean. Decent examples vanish within hours, often snatched up by flippers or collectors who know exactly what's at stake. For anyone still on the fence, the message is simple. The window is closing. The last generation of untrackable, unhacked, unshuttable trucks is being hunted down, one listing at a time. What's left isn't getting any cheaper or any easier to find. Today, every new truck leaves the factory wired for compliance, diagnostics reporting, remote disable, and data sold by the mile. Regulations keep tightening. Each year, fewer analog survivors remain. But right now, the road still belongs to those willing to turn a wrench and refuse digital oversight. 5 trucks, under 5,000. built before your engine needed permission to run.